For 30 years, I've been warning people in my books and in every other way I can that this world is controlled by a global network. I call it the cult. So what have I said in this 30 years that this cult wants? The goal of this manipulation, and has been for a very long time, is to get the world population to see as a good idea, or the only option in given circumstances that are manipulated into place, the creation of a one world government, a world central bank which would administer all financial transactions on the planet, a world currency which wouldn't be coins and notes, it would be merely electronic, cashless society for which there are fundamental implications for freedom. In China, what we want, we're bloody doing. And so they've been able to create and incubate the very society that this cult wants globally. This is how it works in China. They have millions of face recognition cameras in their cities. And so as you're walking down the street, when you act in ways that are acceptable to the state, you get credits. When you act in ways that the state doesn't want you to behave, you get credits taken away. And when you fall below a certain level, consequences kick in. There are millions and millions of people in China who, through not behaving as the government wants, are now banned from flying or banned from even going on a train. And this is what is planned. It's total and utter control. The Chinese structure of society and its authoritarian imposition and AI minute-by-minute real-time tracking of the population, that is exactly what I've been describing is planned for the world for 30 years.
He's very excited that they're going to implant microchips in our brains and know everything that you're thinking. Videotape.
Medical and biological progress and advancing very fast. But can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants,
Vaccinated and who hasn't been. Some of the vaccines that will come on down the line will be there'll be multiple shots. So you've got to have, for reasons to do with the healthcare more generally, but certainly for vaccines, you've got to have a proper digital infrastructure.
The sophistication of the private sector is improving, and particularly important, the level of collaboration between the private sector and the government, especially the FBI, has, I think, made significant strides. Pretty much every technology we could talk about today, we see both great opportunity but great dangers.
Let's be blunt. The so-called Trusted Digital Identity Bill represents a watershed moment in Australian history. We stand at the divide between a free personal enterprise future and a digital surveillance age. If nothing is done to stop this bill, government will sit in the middle of every interaction Australians have with each other and with the world. And it achieves this in the same way China does, by creating a digital identity that forms a central part of a person's life. You can call it a license to live. What began with COVID contact tracing, vaccine passports and QR check-ins will soon be formalised by an inescapable digital identity. It signals a complete end of consumer privacy, the end of citizen anonymity, and the beginning of a big brother digital age that treats the people of Australia as products rather than free human beings. The government intends to build a complete digital record of every Australian to be shared and used. Our medical history, our shopping preferences, who we associate with, whether our choices are really so-called green, social security, veteran services, travel records, website viewing, employment status, and social media comments. All of this orchestrated by a federal Liberal Nationals government who proudly but distortingly call it a human-centric digital identity.
We are now entering the brave new world of smart meters. That means your electric meter will do so much more than just show how much electricity you use. The new smart meters are watching you. They send the record of that little event over wireless networks, bouncing through your neighbor's smart meters all the way to the power company, where they keep record of all your electric consumption volumes and patterns every minute of every day, and store that data forever on computers that you'll never get to see. Your smart meter data shows a vivid profile of your personal living patterns. This is not electrical metering. This is personal surveillance. This is a search without a warrant every day. This is your personal private life going straight out through your electric meter to the power company, to the government, to the police, to the insurance company, to anyone who cuts a deal with your power company to look at your life under a...
And COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize.
COVID is critical because we're going to take away your privacy. We're going to jack you with an operating system that will tie you into the Internet of Things.
Total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to...
Fear. We need fear. So take this vaccine that actually changes your DNA so you're no longer human and no longer have human rights. That's what he's saying.
Monitor people. We need to monitor what's happening under their skin. Since so far, it's corporations and governments collecting data about where we go, who we meet, what movies we watch. The next is the surveillance going under our skin. Surveillance systems established even in democratic countries, which previously rejected them. Governments want to know not just where we go or who we meet, above all they want to know what is happening under our skin. Crisis. And certainly surveillance can help us do that, but it should be done carefully. This is a kind of watershed event when surveillance is really spreading everywhere. And secondly, we are seeing a change in the nature of surveillance from over-the-skin surveillance to under-the-skin surveillance. First of all, yes, we need to monitor people if they are sick, but it shouldn't be done by the police or the security services, so it can't be used for other purposes. If you want to monitor people, establish an independent healthcare authority or agency and doesn't share the data it collects with anybody else.
You know, my country was the first where they made cash illegal. 2016, digitalization was forced on the country. 8 o'clock in the evening announced midnight, cash was illegal, the big notes. And 70% of the economy crashed. This digitalization is now going all over the world, and there's a war on cash. They call it war on cash. But when it's cryptocurrency in the hands of algorithms, in the hands of big tech, they will do what is happening in China. Create social credit system to decide a new caste system. But an element of that great reset is you will own nothing. But when Paul Schwab says you will own nothing, he said we'll own it all. That's why you have Gates not just owning the seed. Wanting to own our food. One, of course, controls the health. And now owning land. This, if ever there was a time for humanity to wake up, now is the time.
Look carefully how we are being prepared for all this. Look at how we will follow without even having any physical reins pulling us, just like she's doing with this horse.
Money. It's also important to realize that the money can expire. Instead of printing money, guys, you have to spend at least 10% of your savings in the next 3 months. If you don't spend that money in the next 3 months, then that money is going to expire. And if you can't save money, well, then you can't build long-lasting generational wealth. You're always going to be a slave to the system. And, I don't think people really understand the severity of this.
So what is Pay Shop Shop? I'm curious, of course. Pay Shop Shop means, girl, you can now send money instantly to other recipients, whether they're from another bank. I think, but that is weird. We already have that in South Africa. We call it, instant payment. What is different about this Pay Shop Shop? And a girl does research, only to realize South Africa is one of the first countries to actually launch a central bank digital currency. Now I'm wondering, okay, I don't have a TV, I hardly listen to radio. Let's see what other children think of this interesting development. I go on social media, I go on YouTube, and I even go to news websites. Everybody is only talking about Julius Malema and his national shutdown. The one lonesome clip I find about this thing. The spokesperson, it's of a French private sector company explaining this Pay Shop Shop. But now, if you really think about what a central banking digital currency is, it's run by the central bank of a country, the state. which means Gobundwane, our Minister of Finance, or someone should have had a proper presser and explain to South African citizens what exactly our central bank is launching, how it affects us, how it affects us and our money.
Amazon is ramping up its contactless payment system nationwide that works by scanning the palm of your hand right there.
The palm of your hand right there.
The palm of your hand right there. Kit Doe takes it for a test drive.
So the new payment systems have been rolling out across the country for the past year. Finally, here in the Bay Area, we get our very first one, and it launched this morning.
You really gotta hand it to Amazon.
Will you be paying with your palm today?
For trying to put the future of payments right in the palm of your, you know.
Right there, perfect.
It's called Amazon One, a new contactless payment system that launched for the first time in Northern California.
Grimes is the woman that produced 2 children with Elon Musk, and I want you to hear what she has to say here. Here we go.
If you think about it, AI is actually the fastest path to communism.
Let's pause right there. Mr. SGT, I'd love to get your thoughts on that. She just said that AI is the fastest path to communism.
If you think about it, AI is actually the fastest path to communism. So if implemented correctly, AI could actually theoretically solve for abundance. Like, we could totally get to a situation where nobody has to work. Everybody is provided for with a comfortable state of being, comfortable living. AI could automate all the farming, weed out systematic corruption, thereby bringing us to as close as possible to genuine equality.
Correct. Now, I want people to see what Elon Musk says here. He was demoing the Neuralink, which is a technology that connects your brain to the internet. Here we go.
I would presume it would be consensual, because you definitely don't want just people, you know, sending stuff into your brain without your consent.
A good two-way communication system, direct communication system between brains and computers. This is kind of the watershed moment.
Effectively merge with artificial intelligence by improving the speed of interaction between our cortex and our tertiary layer, which is already silicon.
Could you imagine that one day we would be able to download our human brain capacity into a Optimus?
With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, you sure you can control the demon.
This is Rice University talking about nanotubes. Watch this.
What we've designed, and we've done this very, very quietly, but we're glad to now release it to the world, is this idea of Tesla-phoresis, which is a discovery we made several years ago, and we've been developing it.
What's that word again? Tesla-phoresis. Here we go.
It's a discovery we made several years ago, and we've been developing it. And Tesla-phoresis is, the simplest way to understand it is self-assembly at a distance, just long distance assembly of materials.
Yeah, okay, wait a minute now. So Tesla-phoresis, this looks like the stuff that's going on inside of people's bodies, those who have taken the bioweapon masquerading as a vaccine, and beyond that, the electromagnetic or energy component would be 5G. This all seems to tie into the destruction of humanity in the bioweapon plan, the Depop plan.
Mark my words. This way it's going to happen. We're going to have a banking collapse. Because there's a banking collapse, that will cause the dollar to skyrocket in inflation, possibly hyperinflation. People will pay it. Hyperinflation will go crazy. The Fed will say, look, we got to stop this. Inflation is too much. We're going to give you a digital currency. It's already in a bank with your name. All you have to do is sign in, and it will give you the money, and that's what's going to control inflation.
As you can imagine, not everyone's on board with this one. And here's why. They're selling microchips to implant under your skin. The company Walletmore says the $300 chip is the size of a grain of rice.
Oh.
You'd most likely have it implanted in your.
We are living in a peri-tyrannical situation where there's only 2 clicks left. When you are required to have digital ID to move around and have a life, and when cashless central bank digital currencies are the only way you can buy and sell, at that point you've lost your freedom. If you follow the breadcrumbs to 2030, anyone can look up the UN 2030 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. By 2030, not own private transport, you will have a digital ID to do everything, and you will only have electronic money with which to transact. I would say at that point you are a slave, and because you can see them coming, you should say no.